morning, this is Elizabeth and I'm coming to you today from my kitchen, as you can see. So I wanted to spend a little time with you today helping you to understand how economically you can look at some of these proteins and understand the portions for portion control, because it's so important. And so right here, what I've got today is what's called in the business a PiSMO, P-I-S-M-O. And it stands for peeled side muscle on, peeled, so the excess fat has been peeled off of it. And you can get this in Costco, you can get it in some of the major retailers. I bought it at a grocery store near us here, and you can't see it really, but it says $39.20. That's what I spent for it. It was $9.68 a pound, so don't kill yourself with math. Let's call that 10. And it's 4.05 pounds. So essentially I have 4 pounds, and for 4 pounds I spent $39.20, so let's say $10 a pound, all right? Out of this, I expect to get 13 portions. Maybe more, maybe less. We'll know after I get it cleaned up. I just wanted you to see it. So if you're already worried about the $39, think about this. If I spent $39 and I can get 13 portions, I just spent $3 a piece for a filet mignon. And that's what we're gonna. Okay, so here it is, it's out of the bag. You can still there's still some liquid here. This is not blood. This is just protein saturated liquid, but it's slippery. So I'm gonna need to rinse this off and I'm gonna dry it off, and you can see I've got some work to do. But this is what essentially it looks like when it comes out of the bag. So let me get cleaned up, clean him up. Okay, so as you can see, I've got it out of the bag. I've rinsed it. I've dried it a little bit, as much as I could with some paper towels. Now, what I'm gonna need to do this, and I want you to consider, this is a boning knife. It's also used for fish and, to fillet a fish and things like that. You can see it's got a little flex to it, and it's super, super sharp. If you don't have one of these, now this is a high quality kitchen knife. If you don't have one of these though, and you think you want to try this, I would recommend you go to your hardware store or go to a sporting goods store, because hunters love these, hunters and fishermen, and you can get a much less expensive model at one of those stores. All right, I'm not going to bore you with watching the whole thing, but I want you to just get an idea of what needs to be done here. So I'm just going to obviously lift off what I don't want and set it aside. And one of the things I'm going to do, because PiSMO, side muscle on, right? This is your side muscle. You see how they kind of connect here? You can see some of the tissue that holds these muscles together. That's going to have to come off. And when that comes off, I can easily identify where these muscles separate. And I'm going to take this right off, and I'm going to separate that. And that makes really nice Philly cheesesteaks and things like that. Or even if you wanted to pound it out, make it thin for the top of a salad, if you wanted to have a steak salad. But your actual filet mignon, the tenderloin, is this guy right here. This used to be attached to the rib on the other side of what would have made it a full porterhouse steak. So, all right, so I'm back. And so what I've done so far, as I said, I didn't want to bore you. I've taken this silver skin off that was on here before, and all I really did, if you can imagine, I just got my knife blade underneath like this. I got it at about a 45-degree angle, and I just wiggled it all the way down and took that off. So this is what I've removed. Here's my side muscle that I took off, and I'm gonna save this guy. I'm gonna cut this really thin, and I'm gonna save that for like the top of a steak salad. And what I've actually literally taken off of this, I've got my scale here, and as you see, I donned the apron because this can be kind of messy. And I'm waiting for it to come up. I've covered it with plastic wrap because mine is not removable. And so what I've taken off that's not useful is about 4 ounces. Now I say not useful, but I've got a couple of Scooby snacks for little Mr. Rescue back here who's waiting patiently. And then this guy, which is totally usable, 10.4 ounces, so almost 3/4 of a pound there. And so what I've done, I've got one steak already cut, and I'll show you what I did to get that guy going. I took my larger knife now, and I'm gonna take it right down. This one here is a nice size. You can see, this one's gonna be a little on the smaller side. I'm gonna tell you right now, I can tell by looking at it. Yep, that's about 3 ounces. But again, that could be a nice little topper, or a couple of these could go together. So now we're getting into really the nice portion here of this muscle. And I'm gonna say about 1.5 inches is gonna be what you're really looking for these steaks. And look how tender that is. There's no connective tissue at all there. That's just beautiful. There's a nice 4-ounce portion right there. We're looking for 4 to 5 ounces for a nice portion of meat. Now, some of you might say, well, that's, you know, kind of small. I can eat a lot more than that. The point of this here is to help us to be eating healthier and portion control. And portion control with red meat, this one is just 5 ounces. So, you know, this is the size that I'm going to be looking for Joe, because this is the size that's going to satisfy him. These smaller ones, I'm going to be fine with. So let's go ahead and just cut some more of these. But what I really want to show you here, because this is the obviously easy part. Let's go down here. What on earth am I going to do with this? What I'm going to do with this is simple. I am going to cut it off. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it and just slice it like this. And I can butterfly this into a nice little steak. Now you say, how could you do that? I'm going to show you. I'm going to take my little mallet and I'm going to pound this a little bit. It's going to make it a little thinner, but what it does is it just pushes this all together again. And this guy, again, this one is just 4 ounces. So a little bit smaller for what Joe would want. These are the 5 ounces that he's going to be looking for. And let's see what this guy comes in. A little over 5, a little baby bit over 5. Very nice. So I'm going to keep doing this and I'll come right back. Okay, so what I did while we were gone is to grab my mallet. And the reason I did that is because I've got a couple of, like I said, of the smaller ends. And what I've done is I've pieced them together to make a nice 5-ounce portion here. And I want to make this, dog's trying to get at the steaks. I just want to make them so that they're amalgamated. So all I'm going to do, this is not the greatest table we're doing this on, is just kind of give it a couple of whacks. And what you get then is this nice little steak. And believe me, once you put this in that cast iron pan, it's going to hold together beautifully. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, now that I've got these portioned out, I'm going to individually wrap them. And I'm going to come back when I get that done, and I'll give you the rundown on the numbers of all of this. Okay, so what I've done is I've taken this mushroom, and I just want to show you before I get it all done. I'm cutting it across the grain. I've cut it in half because it was 10 ounces, a little over 10 ounces. So I've made it into 2 portions, and these are going to be great for the top of a salad. And so what I'm doing is I'm cutting them rather thin, and I'm just going to finish this up like that. So really against the grain. Super simple like that. You could go thinner or you could pound it out. Philly cheesesteak's really not on our plan, but that's, you know, technically what they would use this for in the industry. I prefer to top a salad with it. So I'm going to go ahead and wrap. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I got 12 portions out of this, and I'm pretty happy with that. So I'll be right back when I get them wrapped. Okay, last step. I've got them all packaged, individually wrapped. I've taped them. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to, these are the 2 that I sliced thin, so I've segregated those from the rest of the population. I tried to spare you the struggle with plastic wrap. And so what I'm going to do, I've labeled this one 5.25, so that one's all set. I'm going to go just ahead and I'm going to go through and I'm going to label what each one of them are in ounces. So I know as I go to grab them, whether or not it's going to be, you know, something that is, if we're not necessarily following the program with just one lean and green for the day, or if there's going to be an additional meal. So that just helps me. You know, we don't count calories on our program. We just count ounces so that we know that we've got an adequate amount of protein. And our protein really is supposed to be measured cooked. But you have to start somewhere. You have to weigh it at least the way that you've got it cut so you know what you've got to work with. This one is 5.2. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these up. All right, so what I've done is I've just finished them up, and I've got my 5 ounces are going to go in this bag right here. And the ones that are under 5, these are the 3s and 4s, are going to go in this bag here. So I know in my freezer what I've got, what I'm pulling out, and I'm going to label them that way. And then I've got these 2 that came in at just about 5 ounces each, and those are going to be my salad steaks. And so there's only one thing left to do, and that's to give Bruto his Scooby snack. So that's how we're going to finish. Bruto, baby. Come here, good boy. That's his little snack for being my sidekick today. Hope you had a great time. If you have questions or suggestions, please drop them in the comments below.